really appreciate my mom for telling me at a young age. So I was adopted at the age of 1. My mom can't have kids, so that was like her first option, you know, for adoption. She did tell me that it took her a year. They had to go through like psych evaluation and like background checks and that stuff. And then they gave her me. And then she told me when we moved here. So I moved here at the age of 2.5 in the U.S. from the Philippines.
Oh.
So I was adopted in the Philippines. And then I had a baby book of me in the orphanage. And I would always go through it. You know, I'm a kid. And at the very end of the book is a picture of my birth mom. So I guess I had asked her, like, who is this? And she had to explain to me, like, oh, that's your mom. But I'm like, oh, I thought you were my mom. So, you know, at a young age, like, you wouldn't really understand it. But growing up, she kind of just, like, explained it to me thoroughly. Which is nice because she pretty much told me, like, she didn't want to tell me when I'm a little bit older because kids tend to rebel against their parents. Like, oh, like, you're not my real parents, like, why would you lie to me and stuff like that, which that's why, like, when I found out I was adopted, it wasn't really tragic to me in a way. Like, I was just kind of okay with it, which is nice. And like, I always see my mom as like my mom, you know, like, even though I know I have another mom out there, like, I don't really know her like that. But Kobe wanted me to tell my story of how I was like found. So initially, my mom kept this a secret from me for maybe up until I was 11. But my auntie accidentally spilled the secret.
Okay.
But they said that I was found underneath a palm tree, like as a newborn, and ants were eating me.
What the heck?
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
I know, it's a little sad. I think that's why my mom didn't want to tell me. But
Yeah.
honestly, I just feel like it's really cool. Like, my next tattoo, I want to get a palm tree.
You're gonna put ants in the tattoo? Or?
No, I'm not gonna do that. But palm tree is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like, that's
dope.
kind of
That's
like a
actually
symbol of
super
me.
dope. Yeah.
But my birth mom was, well, I was born in like an island, like off of the Philippines. Like, I guess when they found me, they were trying to look for my parents and they couldn't find her. So they just brought me to like an adoption agency in the city. But yeah, it's pretty nice.
Pretty nice. That's crazy, the whole palm tree story. So you said your aunt was the one who kind of like...
Yeah, she spilled it to me, and my mom was like, that's not true. And I was like, don't lie to me. And eventually she was like, yeah, like, it happened. I guess, like, she didn't want me to know something, like, traumatizing as that. But I just feel like it's really cool because not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah. And what's funny is, like, if you were to say that happened here, like, oh, I was found under a tree, like...
I just feel like it would be weird.
Yeah, it'd be a little weird. Like, it'd be kind of sus, almost like... But the fact that you said that it's from the Philippines, I believe that now that it's from the Philippines. Because the Philippines is a whole different, like,
and
it's
it was
crazy
like
out
an
there.
island. Like, it's not like she could have brought me to an adoption agency. Like, I feel like that was just like a safe spot for her.
Yeah.
Because she knew like people would have eventually found me.
Yeah.
But they know who my mom is. And then growing up, I went back to the Philippines at the age of 11, and my mom wanted me to meet my birth mom, which I was like iffy about. Like, I was like, am I really ready to meet them? Like, do I want to? It would never like went to my mind like, oh, I want to meet my mom, you know? Like,
What?
it was just... Sorry. It was just like something I didn't really think about often because it's like, you gave me away, like, why would I want to meet you? But she insisted, and she pretty much paid my adoption agency to look for my mom, which they found her, and I got to meet her, which is nice. I didn't really speak to them much. I have an older sister. She's like a few years older than me, which they're still together, which is nice. At least my mom's not alone. But my mom offered my birth mom like a job. She offered my sister to go to school, which they didn't want to accept, but it's fine. But my son knows I'm adopted, and he uses it against me. So like, whenever he's mad at me, he'll be like, at least I'm not adopted.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's a little feisty one.
Yeah.
But we're going back next year after I graduate from nursing, and he really wants to meet her, which is nice.
Your birth mom.
Yeah, he wants to meet his birth grandma.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. So growing up with the knowledge of being adopted, and not only your own knowledge of being adopted, but kind of everybody around you's knowledge of you being adopted, did that change the way that you interacted with family members, or like change kind of how you grew up?
Not really. Like, I knew my family is my family, you know. We're not blood related, but at the end of the day, I grew up with them and they treated me as their own.
Yeah.
That's why, like, for me being adopted, really, didn't matter to me as much. It hurts sometimes to know, like, oh, my mom didn't want me, but, you know, going back to meet her and, like, see what situation they're in, like, when the adoption agency tried to find them, they couldn't really find them for, like, a whole week because they're homeless. Like, they were moving from house to house. Like, they didn't have, like, a place to stay. And I'm kind of grateful, like, at least my mom thought, like, I would want a better life for my youngest, you know, because seeing how her and my sister are living now, like, they wanted me to do better, which is nice and I'm grateful for. Like, I just feel like I'm blessed for that because, like, I live the way I do now. Like, I'm here in the States and they're still, like, over there, you know, struggling.
Yeah. So when your mom told you that she wanted you to meet your birth mom, what were your feelings towards that situation? And, like, did you ever feel like you wanted to get clarity with the situation with your birth mom? Like, why? And
I just feel like I was 11 at the time, so it wasn't, like, fully, like, I wasn't thinking about all of that. But I'm grateful that I got to meet them, you know. I didn't really speak to them at all. It was kind of like an awkward situation for me. But my parents now got to speak to them. Like, they asked, like, who my dad was and stuff like that, which I didn't really get a full answer to that, which is fine. But at least I know I have, like, my mom and my sister out there. And, like, when I finish school and stuff like that, I want to help them, you know, help them get a better life. Because that's also my mom's goal. Like, she wanted to help them while we were there. But, you know, I don't think, it's not that they don't want the help. I think they're just kind of shy.
Yeah.
You know, like, having to ask, like, oh, their daughter's adoptive parents for help and stuff like that.
I think that's, like, really deep. I don't know what it is about Filipinos. Like, I feel like that's really deep, like, Filipino culture to, like, never admit that you need help.
Yeah.
And, like, never admit that, like, oh, you know, you helping me can better my life. And it's just really, like, I don't know, this might sting some people, but it really is just pride, you know. I think it's 100%. Just like, but I don't know why, like, that's, like, so deeply ingrained in Filipino culture of, like, even in a situation like that where you're, like, really in a difficult position and it's not even as much of a stretch, you know, to, like, ask you who is family to help, that they still wouldn't ask, you know.
Yeah.
So now that you're older, because I asked you before, like, if you ever felt like you wanted clarity on, like, why your mom made that decision. Like, now that you're older, do you ever feel like you want to at least get clarity in that situation or closure, or you kind of just want to?
Well, just seeing how they lived is, like, pretty much the information I needed onto why they gave me away. Sometimes I'd ask myself, like, why did she keep my sister and not me? But my sister was a little bit older, and I just feel like she couldn't really take care of two. Like, taking care of one is already hard enough, and then having to, you know, have me, you know, I just feel like she wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like me being adopted, it kind of just being where I'm at right now, it's like I'm okay with it, you know? Like, I'm okay with where I'm at right now, and then I don't have any hatred against them. Yeah. I did at first, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was like, you gave me away, like, you didn't want me. And then sometimes, like, even till this day, I'm just like, when I go through hard things, like, dang, like, my own mom didn't want me, like, why would you, you know? Like, you get those feelings and stuff like that. But I feel like I should just be grateful instead. Yeah. Because I don't know what would happen if I lived like that, you know? Because it's hard. It's hard not having, like, enough food for you and your kids, you know? Yeah. And I just feel like it was really hard for her to even give me away. So I'm just like, thank you for that, you know? But it's not that I forgot about them. Like, I will go back for them and try to help them as much as I can when I have the time and the funds, because right now I am broke.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, like, that's a really great thing for you to say that one of your goals that you're working towards is helping them, because the reality is that, you know, you don't really owe them anything. You don't owe them that. Although they are blood, and although you know that they're in that situation, I think a lot of people would take the route of, like, you know, like, that part of my life is my life is done, you know.
Yeah.
So what makes you feel the need to outstretch that hand when, you know, when for a lot of people they probably wouldn't?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they even wanted to meet me when like the adoption agency went to go look for them. I remember my mom's words were like she thought she would never see me again, which is really sad. Like they're crying a lot, like even my sister, and I'm just like that's why I'm just like it must have hurt them a lot to even have to give me away. Like I feel like they really had no choice in that decision because like they didn't want me to struggle the way they did. So I'm just like, you know, for me, I will do my best to try to help people. That's just the type of person I am. A lot of people have taken my kindness for granted, and I feel like that happens to a lot of people when you're really nice and you try to do your best to give others, you know, what they need, what they want, be a good friend and a family member towards them. And I learned a lot through that. That's why, like, now that I'm older, I don't really have that many friends anymore, because people really do take advantage of your kindness.